Her fingers hovered over the piano, then the blind girl whispered, "Please don't stop. You make the music feel like sunlight." Carolina froze. Because the air shifted, the door creaked, and the most dangerous man in Manhattan, her mafia boss father, was standing behind her, watching in silence. His shadow fell across the keys, and his first word would decide whether Carolina walked out of here or vanished forever. If you're hooked in and want to enjoy this story, go ahead and subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. It's always amazing to see where everyone's watching. Plus, tomorrow I've got another incredible story lined up, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Alright, back to the story. Late at night, the marble lobby of the Manhattan high-rise stands silent. Security cameras blink red. A city that never sleeps holds its breath between shifts. Then she hears it piano notes, hesitant and disconnected, drifting through the corridor like smoke. Carolina freezes on the lobby steps, her diner apron still damp with coffee stains. She's not supposed to be here. The building's warmth pulled her in from the winter street, just for a moment, just to feel her fingers again. But the music draws her forward. The hallway stretches before her, polished floors reflecting lamplight, walls lined with abstract art she doesn't understand. Her sneakers squeak against marble meant for heels that cost more than her rent. She should leave. She knows this. But the music continues, clumsy and determined, and something in her chest pulls tight. Inside a dimly lit room, a young girl sits at a grand piano, her posture straight despite the empty space around her. Her small fingers search the keys with careful precision. Her eyes, soft and unfocused, do not see the instrument beneath her hands. She is blind, yet she plays. Carolina steps closer, her shadow falling across the keys. The girl's hands pause. "May I join you?" Carolina asks softly. The girl's face lifts, a smile breaking across her features like sunrise. "Yes." Carolina slides onto the bench beside her. Two pairs of hands settle on the keys, one roughened by dish soap and years of serving others, one small and certain, belonging to someone who navigates the world through sound. They begin to play together, Carolina steadying the melody, the girl following with instinct that defies her 9 years. The notes weave through the room, imperfect but honest. Carolina's fingers remember chords she thought forgotten. The girl's face glows with concentration, her head tilting as she listens to the harmony building between them. Behind the half-open door, a figure stands motionless. Manuel Torres, dressed in a dark suit that costs more than Carolina's monthly rent, watches with an expression carved from stone. His broad shoulders fill the doorway. His hands, scarred knuckles, gold watch catching lamplight, rest at his sides. But his eyes, dark and unreadable, fix on his daughter's face, on the smile he hasn't seen in months. He does not move, does not speak, just watches as a stranger teaches his daughter something he never could. The music continues. "You're close," Carolina says gently. But music isn't just about hitting the right keys. It's about feeling the space between the notes. The girl turns her head toward Carolina's voice. "Who are you?" "Just someone who used to play," Carolina says. "What's your name?" "Diane." "Beautiful name. Do you come here often?" Diane nods, her smile brightening. "My papa owns the building, but he's always working, so I wait, and I play." Carolina's breath catches. She glances around the room, the expensive furniture, the skyline view, the grand piano that probably costs more than everything Carolina owns combined. This child doesn't belong to a cleaner or a late-shift office worker. This child belongs to someone powerful. "That's a beautiful bracelet," Carolina says, noticing the delicate gold chain on Diane's wrist. Small charms dangle, catching lamplight. A piano, a heart, a musical note. Diane touches it gently, her smile fading just slightly. "My mama gave it to me, before she went to heaven." Carolina's chest tightens. She knows the weight of absence, the way it settles into a child's bones like winter cold. She opens her mouth to respond, to offer some small comfort, when footsteps echo in the hallway. Heavy, deliberate, the kind that don't hurry because they don't need to. Diane's head tilts, listening. Her expression shifts, not fear exactly, but caution, recognition. "That's my papa," she whispers. Carolina's breath catches. She stands quickly, suddenly aware of how out of place she is, her worn coat, her scuffed shoes, the diner smell still clinging to her hair. She turns toward the door just as it opens wider. The man who enters doesn't just walk into a room, he commands it. Manuel Torres, tall, broad-shouldered, his presence filling the space like a storm cloud. His dark eyes sweep the room, the piano, his daughter, the stranger standing beside her, with the precision of someone trained to identify threats. His face reveals nothing. No anger, no surprise, just cold, measured assessment. His gaze locks on Carolina. She feels it like a physical weight, the kind of attention that precedes judgment. Her heart hammers against her ribs. This is not a building manager, not security. This is someone whose name makes people look away. "Diane," he says, his voice low and controlled. "Who is your friend?" "Carolina," she had answered, her voice smaller than she wanted. "I work at the diner down the block. I heard her playing and I thought." "You thought you would enter private property uninvited," Manuel finished, his tone flat as concrete. Not a question. A statement of fact. "I didn't know. I'm sorry. I was just Diane." He didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. "It's time for bed." "But Papa, we were just now." The word landed like a gavel. Diane's hands withdrew from the keys, her head lowering in that practiced submission Carolina recognized too well. The girl stood, fingers trailing across the piano's edge as she navigated toward her father's voice. Manuel's eyes never left Carolina. "You should go." Not a threat. Worse. A dismissal that felt more final than any locked door. Carolina grabbed her coat and left. Diane's whispered goodbye, following her like a ghost down the marble hallway. Now Carolina can't sleep. She lies on her mattress springs, digging into her back. The neighbor's television bleeding through the wall and replays the moment over and over. The way Manuel Torres looked at her. Not with anger, with calculation, like she was a problem he was measuring how to solve. But it was Diane's face that haunts her, the way the girl's smile collapsed when her father entered, the way her small hands pulled back from the keys like she'd been caught doing something wrong, the way she whispered, "I'm sorry, Papa," in a voice too practiced at apology. Carolina stares at the ceiling where water stains bloom like bruises. She hasn't thought about music, really thought about it in years. But tonight, her fingers ache. They remember. She remembers too. Mrs. Rodriguez, silver hair, hands that moved across piano keys like prayer. She taught music at the community center 3 blocks from Carolina's childhood apartment, charged nothing to students who had nothing, believed in talent the way other people believe in God. "You have something special, Mija," she would say, her accent thick with Santo Domingo and certainty. "Music chooses who it speaks through. It chose you." Carolina had believed her, had practiced until her fingers cramped, had imagined stages and audiences and a life that didn't smell like poverty and resignation. Mrs. Rodriguez submitted her application to the conservatory. Full scholarship, a future Carolina could taste. Then Mrs. Rodriguez died. Stroke, sudden, gone. The scholarship money disappeared into administrative confusion. The conservatory moved on to other students. Carolina was 17, alone, and the world kept spinning without asking her permission. She took the first job she could find, then another, then another. Music became something she used to do, like dreaming, like hoping, until tonight. The diner shift the next day drags like punishment. Coffee pots, stacked plates, customers who don't say thank you. Carolina's hands shake when she pours too much caffeine, too little sleep, too many thoughts she can't organize. "You look like hell," Miguel says from behind the grill, his spatula pointing at her like an accusation. "Feel like it too," Carolina mutters. "Man trouble?" She almost laughs. "More like rich man who could make me disappear trouble." Miguel raises an eyebrow but doesn't push. "That's the thing about people who work for tips. Everyone's got secrets that don't fit on job applications." Carolina finishes her shift. The winter air bites as she steps outside, pulling her coat tight. She should go home, should sleep, should forget about blind girls and marble lobbies and men whose silence carries violence. But her feet carry her toward the high-rise anyway. She tells herself she's just walking, just thinking. The building appears like a judgment glass and steel reaching toward clouds that threaten snow. She stops across the street, hands buried in her pockets, breath fogging the air. Then she sees her, Diane. Standing at a 20th floor window, small silhouette backlit by warm interior light. Her hand presses against the glass. Even from this distance, even through winter darkness, Carolina can see it, the stillness of someone waiting for something that isn't coming. Carolina's chest aches. She crosses the street before logic can stop her. The lobby guard, different one tonight, younger, less attentive, barely glances up from his phone as she slips past. Her heart pounds as she takes the elevator, as the numbers climb, as the doors open onto the 20th floor. The music room door stands half open. Diane sits at the piano, not playing, just sitting. Her hands rest in her lap like abandoned tools. "Diane?" Carolina says softly. The girl's head snaps up, her face transforming. "You came back." "I couldn't stay away," Carolina admits. "It's the truth. Dangerous. Stupid. True. Papa said you probably wouldn't," Diane says, her voice small. "He says people leave. It's what they do." Carolina sits beside her on the bench. "I'm not people," she says. "And I'm not leaving." Diane's smile could power the city. "Can we play again?" she asks. Carolina's hands find the keys. "What do you want to learn?" "Everything," Diane whispers. "Teach me everything." Behind them, the security camera blinks red, recording, watching, reporting back to a man who trusts no one. But for now, two pairs of hands begin to play, and the music they create sounds like defiance. They play for 30 minutes before the door opens. Not Manuel this time. A security guard, thick neck, suspicious eyes, hand resting on the radio clipped to his belt. He's seen Carolina before, remembers her. His expression says he's been waiting for this. "Ma'am, you need to leave the building." Carolina's hands freeze on the keys. Diane's head turns toward the voice, her smile evaporating. "I was just—" "Now," the guard says, stepping closer. "This is private property. You were warned yesterday." "She's my friend," Diane says, her voice trembling but defiant. "She's teaching me. Miss Torres, I'm going to have to report this to your father." The guard's tone softens for Diane but hardens when he looks back at Carolina. "You. Out. Or I call the police." Carolina stands slowly, her legs unsteady. She wants to argue, wants to tell him Diane was alone, that she wasn't hurting anyone, that music isn't a crime, but she knows how this works. People like her don't win arguments with people like him. "I'm sorry, Diane," Carolina whispers. "No." Diane reaches out, her small hand grasping air until it finds Carolina's sleeve. "Please don't go. Please. You're the only one who—" Her voice breaks. The words die in her throat, but Carolina hears them anyway. "You're the only one who sees me. Who stays." The guard's radio crackles. A voice cuts through static. "Rodriguez? Status on the 20th floor?" He keys the mic. "Situation handled. Escorting trespasser out now." Trespasser. The word hits like a slap. Carolina gently removes Diane's hand from her sleeve, her heart splintering. "I have to go. Will you come back?" Diane asks, tears sliding down her cheeks. Carolina wants to say yes, wants to promise, but the guard is watching, recording every word, and she knows promises she can't keep are crueler than silence. "I'll try," she whispers. It's not enough. She sees it in the way Diane's shoulders curl inward, the way her hands return to her lap like birds with broken wings. The guard escorts Carolina to the elevator. She doesn't look back. Can't. If she does, she'll turn around and make this worse. The lobby guard, the young one who let her pass, won't meet her eyes now. He's been informed, reprimanded. She's officially marked as a problem. Outside, the cold feels like punishment. Carolina walks 3 blocks before she realizes she's crying, before she realizes she can't go back, won't be allowed back, that she let a 9-year-old girl hope for something Carolina can't give. She hates herself for it. 20 floors above, in an office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, Manuel Torres watches the security footage on his tablet. The timestamp reads, 9:47 p.m., 2 nights ago, then last night, now tonight. The waitress returns like clockwork, sits with his daughter, teaches her, makes her smile, makes her vulnerable. "Sir?" His head of security, Victor ex-military, loyal as a weapon, stands in the doorway. The woman has been removed and banned from the property. Should we file a restraining order? Manuel doesn't answer immediately. He rewinds the footage, watches Carolina's hands guide Diane's across the keys, watches his daughter's face light up in a way he hasn't seen since Sophia died. Sophia, his wife, Diane's mother, the only person who ever made him believe he was more than the empire he built with blood and silence. She died 3 years ago. Cancer. Fast and merciless. Diane was 6. She stopped talking for 5 months, stopped smiling for longer. Manuel gave her everything after that. The best doctors, the best schools, the best tutors, everything except the one thing she needed: someone who saw her as more than a tragedy to be managed. Then this waitress appears. A stranger with nothing. And somehow, she gives Diane something all of Manuel's money cannot buy. Joy. "Sir?" Victor prompts again. Manuel closes the tablet. No restraining order. But I want a full background check on Carolina Reyes. Employment history, criminal record, family, associates, everything. His voice is cold, clinical, and I want to know why she keeps coming back. Victor nods and leaves. Manuel turns to the window. The city sprawls below him, lights and shadows, power and desperation. He built his empire by trusting no one, by eliminating threats before they became problems. But the woman on that security footage isn't a threat. She's something more dangerous. She's hope. And hope, Manuel knows, is the most complicated variable in any equation. Down the hall, Diane sits alone at the piano. Her fingers rest on the keys, but she doesn't play. She just waits, listening for footsteps that won't come. The background check lands on Manuel's desk within 18 hours. Carolina Reyes, 28, born in Washington Heights to parents who returned to the Dominican Republic when she was 16, raised herself after that. No criminal record. No debt beyond medical bills from an emergency room visit 2 years ago, appendicitis, paid off in installments. Works double shifts at Morton's Diner. Lives alone in a rent-controlled walk-up on 142nd Street. No red flags, no hidden agendas, no connections to rival families or law enforcement. Just a woman who works herself to exhaustion and goes home to nothing. Victor stands across the desk, arms folded. She's clean, boss. Boring even. Want me to warn her off permanently? Manuel studies the photo clipped to the report. Carolina's employee badge from the diner, tired eyes, hair pulled back, the kind of smile people wear when smiling is part of the job description. No, Manuel says quietly. Boss. I want surveillance only. Passive monitoring. She comes back. I want to know. But no contact. No interference. Victor's jaw tightens. He's been with Manuel 15 years. He knows when to push and when to shut up. This is a shut up moment. Understood. After Victor leaves, Manuel sits in the silence his reputation built. The office is soundproof, walls thick enough to muffle screams, if necessary. Everything in his world is constructed for control, for dominance, for the elimination of variables. But Diane is the one variable he cannot solve. She barely speaks anymore, eats like a bird. Her tutors report she's distracted, unresponsive. The child psychologist he hired uses words like withdrawal and protective dissociation, and suggests maybe, perhaps, possibly, Diane needs more social interaction with peers. Manuel dismissed the woman. Diane doesn't need peers. Peers are liabilities. Peers have parents who talk, who ask questions, who create exposure. His daughter is safer in isolation. He believed that, until he watched her smile at a stranger. That night, Manuel does something he hasn't done in months. He goes to the music room. Diane sits at the piano, her fingers tracing the keys without pressing them. She doesn't play, just touches, like she's reading Braille written in ghosts. Diane. She turns toward his voice, her expression carefully neutral. The face she wears for him now polite, distant, safe. Hi, Papa. He sits in the leather chair near the window, close enough to speak, far enough to maintain the space that's grown between them like a wall neither knows how to climb. You miss her, he says. Not a question. Diane's fingers still on the keys. Carolina? Yes. A pause. Then, so quietly he almost doesn't hear it. She made me feel like I wasn't broken. The words hit him like a bullet he didn't see coming. You are not broken, Manuel says, his voice harder than he intends. Everyone treats me like I am. Diane's hands curl into small fists. The tutors use their special voices. The doctors tilt their heads and ask how I'm coping. She stops herself. I what? You look at me like I'm something that might shatter if you touch it. Manuel's chest tightens. He's built fortunes and destroyed enemies and walked through violence without flinching, but his daughter's honesty cuts deeper than any blade. I'm protecting you, he says. From what? From being happy? Diane's voice cracks. Mama wouldn't want this. She wouldn't want me locked up like a secret. Sophia. His wife's name hangs between them like a ghost demanding acknowledgement. She's right. Sophia would have hated this, the isolation, the fear disguised as safety. The way Manuel's world has shrunk around Diane like a fist. But Sophia isn't here, and Manuel is doing what he knows how to do. Eliminate threats, control outcomes, keep his daughter alive, even if alive feels like half dead. Carolina was kind to me, Diane continues, softer now. She didn't pity me. She just saw me, like I was normal, like I was enough. Manuel watches his daughter in profile, 9 years old, blind since birth, brave in ways he will never be. Do you want to see her again? he asks. Diane's head snaps toward him, hope and disbelief warring on her face. You'd let her come back? I didn't say that. Manuel stands, walks to the window. The city glitters below millions of lives, millions of complications. I said I'm considering it. Papa. Go to bed, Diane. She hesitates, then stands. Her fingers trail along the piano's edge as she navigates toward the door. Before she leaves, she stops. Carolina told me, music is about the space between notes. Maybe people are like that too. Maybe the space between us is where the important things live. She leaves Manuel alone with that truth. He stands at the window until dawn, watching, thinking, calculating the risk of letting light into his daughter's darkness. Below, somewhere in the city, Carolina Reyes finishes another shift, walks home alone, wonders if she'll ever see Diane again. She doesn't know the silent wolf is watching, doesn't know he's been watching for 3 nights straight. Carolina doesn't go back for 5 days. She wants to. God, she wants to. But she's not stupid. The security guard's warning was clear. The ban is real. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a voice whispers that men like Manuel Torres don't forgive trespassing twice. So she works, double shifts, triple when she can get them. She pours coffee and clears tables and smiles until her face aches. She tries not to think about a blind girl sitting alone at a piano, waiting for someone who won't come. She fails. On the 6th night, Carolina breaks. She tells herself she'll just walk past the building, just look up at the 20th floor, just confirm Diane is okay, then leave. It's not rational. It's not safe. But loneliness makes people do irrational things. And Carolina hasn't felt less alone in years than she did sitting at that piano beside a child who needed her. The building rises before her like a cathedral of glass and steel. She stops across the street, hands in her pockets, breath fogging the winter air. The 20th floor window glows warm against the night, and their small silhouette, unmistakable Diane, stands at the glass, her hand pressed against it like she's reaching for something beyond her grasp. Carolina's resolve shatters. She crosses the street. The lobby is busier tonight, residents returning from dinners, doormen shuffling packages. She slips past while they're distracted, her heart hammering as she presses the elevator button. 20 floors up. Each number lighting up feels like a countdown to disaster. The doors open. The hallway stretches before her, empty, silent, waiting. She moves toward the music room, her footsteps too loud against marble that costs more than her yearly salary. The door is closed tonight. She hesitates, hand hovering over the handle. Then she hears it. Piano notes, clumsy, broken. Diane trying to play alone what they played together. Carolina opens the door. Diane's hands freeze on the keys. Her head lifts. Carolina? I'm here. Diane's face transforms relief and joy, colliding so intensely it looks like pain. She starts to stand, reaching toward Carolina's voice, when another voice cuts through the room like a blade. Stop. Carolina spins. Manuel Torres steps from the shadows near the doorway, not entering, not leaving, just occupying the space between Carolina and escape. He's dressed in black tonight, his presence somehow darker, more deliberate. Behind him, the security guard from before Rodriguez blocks the hallway. And beside Rodriguez, another man, taller, military-bearing, eyes that assess threats the way butchers assess meat. Carolina's blood turns to ice. Diane, go to your room, Manuel says, his voice flat. Papa, please. Now, Diane's hands twist together. She opens her mouth to argue, then closes it. The defiance that flickered in her drains away, replaced by that terrible practiced obedience. She stands, navigates past her father without a word, her fingers trailing the wall as she disappears down the hall. The door closes behind her with a sound like a coffin lid. Manuel takes one step forward. Just one. It's enough to make Carolina's instincts scream run. You were told to stay away, he says. I know. Yet here you are. She needed. You don't know what my daughter needs. His voice doesn't rise. Doesn't need to. The temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. You are a stranger. You appeared in her life for 3 nights. You made her believe in something. Then you left. I didn't leave. I was thrown out. Semantics. Manuel's dark eyes pin her in place. You created an attachment. Do you understand what that means? What you've done? Carolina's fear crystallizes into something harder. Anger. What I've done? I gave her an hour of happiness. I saw her as a person, not a problem to be managed. The military man, Victor, she assumes, tenses. His hand moves toward his belt. But Manuel raises one finger. Stop. You know nothing about my daughter, Manuel says, his voice deadly quiet. Nothing about what she's survived, what she needs to survive. I know she's lonely. Carolina's voice breaks. She's shaking now, fear and fury and exhaustion colliding. I know she sits at that window every night waiting for someone to care. I know you've built her a golden cage and called it protection. The silence that follows is suffocating. Manuel's expression doesn't change. But something flickers in his eyes, rage or recognition. Carolina can't tell. You have two choices, he says finally. You leave now. You never come back. You forget my daughter exists. Or, he pauses. The pause stretches. Or, Carolina whispers. Manuel's jaw tightens. Whatever he's about to say costs him something. Or you stay, but under my terms, my rules, my watch. His eyes bore into hers. You teach her, twice a week, supervised. And if you ever betray that trust, I will make certain you disappear so completely, not even God will find you. Carolina can't breathe. Choose, Manuel says. Carolina chooses to stay. She doesn't trust Manuel Torres, doesn't trust the cold promise in his eyes, or the violence coiled beneath his controlled exterior. But she trusts Diane's loneliness, trusts the way music brought light to a child who navigates darkness every day. So she agrees to his terms, twice a week, supervised, under watch. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Manuel says. 7 p.m. Victor will escort you up. You will teach for 1 hour. No more. You will not discuss my business. You will not ask questions about our family. You will not form attachments beyond what is necessary for instruction. Attachments, as if the heart follows contracts. Understood, Carolina Lees. Manuel studies her for a long moment, then nods once. Victor will see you out. The military man escorts her to the elevator. He doesn't speak until the doors close. Then quietly, you just made a deal with the devil. Is that what you think he is? Victor's expression reveals nothing. I think he's a man who loves his daughter more than he fears hell, which makes him more dangerous than the devil ever was. The doors open. Carolina steps out, legs unsteady, reality crashing down. She just agreed to enter the world of a man whose reputation makes people cross streets. A man whose silence carries body counts. For a blind girl, she's known for 3 nights. The cold outside feels like a slap back to sanity. Carolina walks home 12 blocks through neighborhoods where police sirens are lullabies and street corners hold memories of violence. Her apartment building looks worse in the dark, chipped paint, broken intercom, the smell of garbage and resignation. She climbs 5 flights. Her door sticks. Inside, everything she owns could fit in the back of a taxi. A mattress on the floor, a lamp she found on the curb, a mini fridge that hums like it's dying, clothes folded in cardboard boxes because she can't afford a dresser. This is her life. This is what she escaped Mrs. Rodriguez's death for. This is the future she built from survival and surrender. Carolina sits on her mattress and pulls out the shoebox she keeps under the bed. Inside, photographs, letters, the ghost of who she was supposed to become. There she is at 15 standing beside Mrs. Rodriguez at a recital, both of them grinning. Carolina's hands holding a certificate for most promising young musician, her teacher's arm around her shoulders. The look in Mrs. Rodriguez's eyes that said, "You're going to make it." Another photo. The community center piano, worn keys and chipped wood, where Carolina spent every afternoon after school. Where music felt like the opposite of poverty. Where she believed talent mattered more than zip codes. A letter from the conservatory. "Congratulations, Miss Reyes. We are pleased to offer you a full scholarship." She never got to finish reading it before Mrs. Rodriguez collapsed. Before the ambulance. Before the funeral where Carolina sat alone in the back row because Mrs. Rodriguez's family lived in another state and no one thought to tell the students until after. The scholarship required a teacher's endorsement, required documentation, required an advocate who knew how to navigate systems designed to keep girls like Carolina out. Mrs. Rodriguez was supposed to be that advocate. Without her, the application dissolved into bureaucratic confusion. The conservatory moved on. The scholarship went to someone whose teacher didn't die at the wrong moment. Carolina was 17, alone, broke. She had 2 choices, keep dreaming or start surviving. She chose survival. First job, dishwasher at a Chinese restaurant. Second, overnight stock at a bodega. Third, waitress at Morton's Diner, where she's been for 6 years, where her feet ache and her smile is a uniform and music became something she used to do. Like hope. like dreaming, like believing she mattered. Until Diane. Carolina's hands shake as she holds the photos. She doesn't cry, hasn't cried over this in years. But tonight, exhaustion and fear, and the ghost of who she could have been crashed down like a building collapsing. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Do not be late. V. Victor. Already monitoring, already controlling. Carolina stares at the message. At the photos in her lap. At the life she's built from scraps and surrender. She thinks about Diane's face when she plays. About the way the girl's fingers find melodies by pure instinct. About potential that shouldn't be wasted because the world is cruel and people leave. She thinks about Mrs. Rodriguez's voice. Music chooses who it speaks through. Maybe it chose Diane. Maybe Carolina's purpose isn't to play anymore. Maybe it's to make sure someone else gets the chance she lost. She texts back, "I'll be there." 20 floors above the city, Diane sits at the piano. She doesn't play, just sits. Her father enters quietly, sits in the chair by the window. "Carolina is coming back," he says. Diane's head snaps up. "Really? Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 hour. It's not enough." But it's something. Diane's smile breaks like sunrise. "Thank you, Papa." Manuel nods. But he doesn't smile, because he knows what his daughter doesn't yet understand. Every person you let close is another way the world can hurt you. And Manuel Torres has spent 15 years making sure the world can't touch his daughter. Now he's invited a stranger inside. He watches Diane's joy and wonders if he just saved her or sentenced them both. Tuesday arrives like a held breath. Carolina finishes her diner shift early, her hands scrubbing tables with nervous energy. Miguel notices he always does but says nothing. Just slides her an extra piece of pie before she leaves. "Whatever you're walking into," he says quietly, "come back safe." She wants to tell him she will, wants to believe it herself. By 6:30, she's standing outside the high-rise, her coat pulled tight against wind that cuts through the city like judgment. The building looks different now, not a place she snuck into, but a place she's been summoned. There's a difference. One feels like rebellion, the other feels like a leash. At exactly 7 p.m., Victor appears in the lobby. No greeting, just a nod toward the elevator. They ride in silence. Carolina watches the numbers climb, her reflection ghostly in the polished doors. She looks tired, scared, small. "Rules," Victor says as the elevator slows. "You teach, nothing else. You don't ask about his business. You don't ask about her mother. You don't ask why a 9-year-old lives in a building with armed security and panic rooms." Carolina's stomach drops. "Panic rooms?" Victor's eyes meet hers. "Some people have enemies. Manuel Torres has entire organizations that would kill his daughter just to watch him bleed. You being here? You're a risk he's taking because she asked. Don't make him regret it." The doors open. The 20th floor feels different tonight. Lights brighter. More guards visible at the end of hallways. A woman in a gray suit, probably a housekeeper, moves silently through doorways carrying linens. Everything choreographed. Everything controlled. Victor leads Carolina to the music room. Diane sits at the piano, her posture perfect, her hands folded in her lap. But when she hears footsteps, her whole body turns. "Carolina, I'm here." Diane's smile could light the city. Manuel stands near the window, arms crossed, watching. He doesn't speak, just observes like a scientist studying a potentially dangerous experiment. 1 hour, Victor says, then positions himself outside the door. Close enough to intervene, far enough to pretend privacy. Carolina sits beside Diane, her hands trembling slightly as they find the keys. "What do you want to learn today?" "Everything," Diane whispers, the same answer as before. But this time there's hunger in it. Desperation, like she's trying to store up happiness against future drought. They begin with scales. Simple, foundational. Carolina's voice is gentle as she guides Diane's fingers, correcting placement, teaching the language of intervals and chords. Diane absorbs it like someone dying of thirst. "You're a natural," Carolina says softly. "Has anyone ever told you that?" "My mama did." Diane's fingers pause. "Before she got sick." Carolina glances toward Manuel. His expression is stone, but something flickers behind his eyes. Pain, maybe. Or warning. "She must have been proud of you," Carolina says carefully. "She was." Diane's voice drops. "She used to sing to me. Papa says I have her ear for music." Manuel shifts. It's barely perceptible, but Carolina notices. A crack in the armor. They continue. Diane learns faster than Carolina expected, memorizing patterns, anticipating chord progressions. her fingers gaining confidence with each repetition. When they transition to a simple melody, Diane plays it back perfectly after hearing it once. "How did you?" "I hear it," Diane says simply. "Like colors. Each note has a shape in my mind. Synesthesia. Carolina's heard of it but never witnessed it. "What color is this?" She plays middle C. "Yellow. Warm yellow. Like morning. And this? F sharp. Purple. Sharp purple. Like something about to break." Carolina's chest tightens. This child doesn't just play music. She lives inside it. It's how she understands a world she cannot see. "Diane," Carolina says quietly. "You're extraordinary. That's what Mama said." Diane's smile falters. "Papa doesn't like when I play too much. He says it reminds him of her." Carolina's eyes drift to Manuel. He's turned slightly away now, staring out at the city, his jaw tight. "Sometimes," Carolina says carefully, "the things that hurt us are the same things that heal us. Maybe your papa just needs time. He's had 3 years." The hour passes too quickly. Victor appears in the doorway, time's up. Diane's hands clutch at the keys, trying to hold on to the moment. "Thursday?" she asks, her voice small. "Thursday," Carolina promises. As Victor escorts her out, Manuel finally speaks. "Miss Reyes." She turns. "My daughter smiled today. For the first time in weeks." His voice is controlled, but something beneath it trembles. "Do not make me regret allowing that. It's not a thank you. It's a threat wrapped in something that might be gratitude." Carolina nods and leaves. But as the elevator descends, she realizes what she just witnessed. A man terrified of his daughter's happiness because happiness means vulnerability. And vulnerability, in Manuel Torres's world, means death. Outside, the city feels colder. Carolina walks home wondering if teaching a blind girl piano will save them both or destroy them all. 3 weeks pass like a song finding its rhythm. Tuesday and Thursday nights become sacred. Carolina arrives at 7 p.m. sharp, never early, never late. Victor escorts her up. Manuel watches from his position by the window, and Diane transforms. She learns Chopin, then Debussy, then pieces Carolina composes on the spot, simple melodies that Diane memorizes after a single hearing. The girl's talent isn't just remarkable, it's supernatural, like music lives in her bloodstream. But something else is happening too. Diane talks more, laughs more, asks questions about the world beyond the 20th floor, what the subway sounds like, how rain feels on your face, whether the city really smells like pretzels and exhaust. Carolina answers carefully, aware of Manuel's presence, aware that every word is being weighed and measured. "Do you have family?" Diane asks one Thursday, her fingers resting on the keys. Carolina hesitates. "Not anymore. My parents moved back to the Dominican Republic. We don't talk much." "So you're alone?" "I have friends at the diner." "That's not the same." Diane's voice carries the wisdom of someone who understands loneliness intimately. Being alone and being lonely are different things. Carolina's throat tightens. "Yes, they are. I'm lonely too," Diane whispers. "Even with Papa here. Especially with Papa here." From the window, Manuel stiffens, but he doesn't interrupt. "He loves you," Carolina says gently. "Sometimes people don't know how to show it. He shows it by locking me up." The words hang in the air like an accusation. Carolina doesn't know how to respond, doesn't know if she should. But Diane continues, her voice small and devastating. "Mama used to take me to the park. She'd describe everything, the trees, the dogs, the people. She made me feel like I was part of the world." Diane's hands curl into fists. "Now Papa keeps me in here like I'm made of glass, like I'll break if the world touches me." "Diane." "I won't break," her voice cracks. "I'm already broken. That's what being blind means to everyone. But Mama never made me feel that way. And neither do you." Carolina's vision blurs. She reaches out, covering Diane's small hands with her own. "You are not broken. You're just differently whole." Diane's smile is sad and grateful and heartbreaking. "Can I show you something?" Carolina asks. "What?" "A piece I've been working on. Just for you." Diane nods eagerly. Carolina begins to play. It's simple, a melody built on the notes Diane loves most. Yellow C's and purple F sharps and gentle blue A's. She weaves them together into something that sounds like hope struggling against darkness, like light insisting on existing despite the shadows. Diane listens, her head tilted, tears sliding down her cheeks. "It's beautiful," she whispers. "What's it called?" "It doesn't have a name yet. I thought maybe you could name it." Diane thinks for a moment. Then so quietly Carolina almost doesn't hear. Mama's song. Carolina's hands freeze on the keys. She glances toward Manuel. He's turned fully toward them now, no longer pretending to watch the city. His expression is no longer stone. Something has cracked, something he's been holding back for 3 years. His jaw works like he's trying to speak but forgot how. His hands grip the windowsill so hard his knuckles are white. "Play it again," Diane says. "Please." Carolina plays. This time, Diane joins her, tentative at first, then confident, her fingers finding harmonies Carolina didn't know were missing. They play together, and the music becomes a conversation, a language only they speak, a bridge between two people who understand what it means to lose something irreplaceable. When the final note fades, silence fills the room like water. Then Manuel speaks. His voice is rough, barely controlled. "Sophia used to hum that melody." Diane's head snaps toward her father's voice. "What?" "Your mother. When she was pregnant with you, she'd hum while she cooked, while she read, while she fell asleep." Manuel's voice cracks. "I thought I'd forgotten it, but I haven't. I hear it every time I close my eyes." He moves toward them, not with the calculated control Carolina's used to, but with the unsteady steps of a man whose armor just shattered. He kneels beside the piano bench, eye level with his daughter, and for the first time since Carolina met him, Manuel Torres looks human. "I'm sorry," he says to Diane. "I thought keeping you safe meant keeping you separate. I thought if I controlled everything, I could prevent the world from hurting you the way it hurt your mother, the way it hurt me. Papa, but I was wrong." His voice breaks completely. "I've been keeping you from living because I'm terrified of losing you, and in trying to protect you, I've been hurting you instead." Diane reaches out, her small hands finding her father's face. She traces his features, the hard jaw, the scar above his left eyebrow, the tears he's no longer hiding. "I miss Mama," Diane whispers. "But I miss you too. The you that used to laugh, the you that used to play with me, the you that wasn't scared all the time." Manuel pulls his daughter into his arms, holds her like she's the only thing keeping him from drowning. His shoulders shake with sobs he's been holding back for 3 years. Carolina stands quietly, giving them space, giving them this moment. Victor appears in the doorway, his expression unreadable, but he doesn't interrupt. Even he understands. Some moments are sacred. When Manuel finally pulls back, his eyes are red but clear. He looks at Carolina, really looks at her for the first time. "Thank you," he says, 2 words that cost him everything. Carolina nods, unable to speak past the emotion lodged in her throat. Manuel stands, helping Diane to her feet. "It's past your bedtime, pequeña. Can Carolina come back?" Diane asks, hope and fear mixing in her voice. Manuel glances at Carolina. Then, slowly, he nods. "Yes, she can come back. More than twice a week?" A pause. Then something that might be the beginning of a smile. "We'll see." As Victor escorts Carolina out, she hears Diane's laughter echoing down the hallway. Real laughter. The kind that comes from joy instead of politeness. Outside, the city feels different, lighter, like something shifted in the universe. Carolina walks home knowing she just witnessed a miracle. A man built from violence learning how to be soft again. And she wonders if maybe, just maybe, music can save them all. The next Tuesday, Carolina arrives to chaos. 3 black SUVs are parked outside the building, engines running, windows tinted. Men in dark suits stand at intervals, speaking into earpieces. The lobby security has doubled. Victor meets Carolina at the door, his expression grim. "What's happening?" she asks. "Business." The word is clipped. "Final. Come." The elevator ride is tense. Victor's jaw is tight, his hand resting near his concealed weapon. Carolina's heart races. She's heard rumors about Manuel Torres, whispers in the diner about territory disputes, about families who challenged him and disappeared, about a man who built an empire on calculated violence. She never wanted to believe them. The 20th floor feels different tonight. More guards, closed doors, hushed voices bleeding through walls. Victor leads her past the music room toward Manuel's office, a space Carolina has never entered. "Wait here," Victor says, then disappears inside. Through the partially open door, Carolina hears voices. Manuel's low and controlled. Another man's accented, angry, threatening. "Your daughter is a weakness, Torres. Everyone knows it. You think keeping her locked up protects her? It just makes her a target. Careful, Romero. I'm being honest. Your enemies are circling. They know you've gone soft since Sophia died. They know you'd burn your entire empire before letting anyone touch the girl. Is there a point to this conversation? The point is, you need to make a choice. The Valentino family is moving into your territory. They're testing you. And they're watching your building. Watching who comes and goes. A pause. Watching the waitress. Carolina's blood turns to ice. Carolina Reyes poses no threat, Manuel says. But his voice has shifted. Colder. More dangerous. She's a vulnerability. An outsider with access to your daughter. What happens when the Valentinos grab her? When they use her to get to Diane? That won't happen. You can't guarantee that. You know you can't. Romero's voice drops. Remove her. Send her away. It's the smart play. Silence. Long and suffocating. Then Manuel speaks. Get out of my office. Torres. Now. Footsteps. The door opens. A man in an expensive suit, silver hair, cold eyes, exits without looking at Carolina. Victor escorts him to the elevator. Carolina stands frozen, her mind racing. She's a target now. A liability. A weakness in a world where weaknesses get people killed. The smart thing would be to leave. To walk away before she becomes collateral damage in a war she doesn't understand. But then she hears it piano notes from down the hall. Diane playing alone. The melody imperfect without Carolina's guidance. Victor returns. He wants to see you. Manuel's office is exactly what Carolina expected. Dark wood, floor-to-ceiling windows, furniture that costs more than her yearly rent. But what surprises her is Manuel himself. He's standing at the window, his reflection showing exhaustion she's never seen before. You heard, he says. Not a question. Yes. Romero is right. You're a risk now. My enemies know about you. They'll use you if they can. Carolina's hands tremble. So you're ending this. I should. Manuel turns to face her. The smart thing. The thing that keeps my daughter safe is to remove you from her life. Pay you off. Relocate you. Make you disappear. But my daughter smiled today. For the first time in 3 years, she talks about the future. About learning more music. About maybe performing someday. His voice cracks slightly. You gave her that. You gave her hope. Hope doesn't stop bullets. Carolina says quietly. No, it doesn't. Manuel moves closer. Which is why I'm giving you a choice. You walk away now. I give you money enough to start over somewhere safe. You forget about Diane. Forget about us. Live your life. Or you stay. But if you stay, you're no longer just Diane's teacher. You're under my protection, my watch, my rules. His eyes bore into hers. You move into this building. You quit the diner. You become part of our world completely. And if the Valentinos come for you, my people will be there. Carolina's mind reels. He's asking her to abandon everything, her apartment, her job, her independence, to become a permanent fixture in a world built on violence and fear. Why? She whispers. Why risk your empire for a waitress? Manuel's expression softens almost imperceptibly. Because my daughter asked me to trust you, and I haven't trusted anyone since Sophia died. He pauses. Because you're the first person who looked at Diane and saw potential instead of tragedy. Because you remind me that not everyone in this world wants something from me. I don't want anything from you. I know. That's why I'm making this offer. Carolina's thoughts spiral. She thinks about her life, the diner shifts, the lonely apartment, the years of surviving without living. She thinks about Mrs. Rodriguez's voice. Music chooses who it speaks through. She thinks about Diane's laughter. If I stay, Carolina says slowly, I'm not your prisoner. I'm Diane's teacher, that's all. Agreed. And you don't control my life. You protect it. There's a difference. Manuel's lips quirk into something almost like a smile. Understood. And if your war destroys us both, you don't get to blame me for staying. I wouldn't dream of it. Carolina takes a deep breath. This is insane. Reckless. Possibly the worst decision of her life. I'll stay, she says. Manuel nods once. Victor will move your things tomorrow. You'll have a room on this floor. Security detail starts immediately. He extends his hand. Welcome to the family, Miss Reyes. Carolina shakes it. His grip is firm. Final. A contract signed in flesh. As she leaves his office, she realizes what just happened. She traded her freedom for a blind girl's happiness. And somehow, it feels like the first free choice she's made in years. Down the hall, Diane plays piano, unaware that her teacher just became something more. Something dangerous. Something permanent. Outside, the Valentino family watches and waits. The war is coming. But for tonight, Carolina sits beside Diane and teaches her a new song. And for tonight, that's enough. 6 months later, the music room sounds different. Carolina's fingers move across the keys with Diane beside her, their hands weaving through a complex duet Rachmaninoff's Vocalise, arranged for 4 hands. Diane's part is technically challenging, requiring precision and emotional depth. She handles it flawlessly. Again, Diane says, her face flushed with concentration. The transition at measure 42 still feels clumsy. Carolina smiles. You're a perfectionist. Mama was too. It's easier now talking about Sophia. The ghost that haunted this building has become a presence they honor instead of avoid. Manuel commissioned a portrait that hangs in the hallway, Sophia at a piano. Her smile radiant, her hands frozen mid-phrase. Diane asked Carolina to describe it in detail. Carolina did, her voice catching on the beauty of a woman she never met but feels like she knows. Manuel enters carrying coffee, 2 cups, the way he does now every Tuesday and Thursday. He's different these days, still controlled, still dangerous, but softer around the edges. He smiles occasionally, laughs sometimes, sits with them during lessons instead of watching from a distance. How's she doing? He asks Carolina. She's ready. Diane's head snaps up. Ready for what? Carolina and Manuel exchange glances. They've been planning this for weeks. There's a private recital next month, Manuel says carefully. Small audience, family and associates. Your teacher thinks you should perform. Diane's expression cycles through shock, fear, excitement. Perform? In front of people? Only if you want to, Carolina says quickly. No pressure, but Diane, you're extraordinary. People should hear what you can do. What if I mess up? Then you mess up, Manuel says, kneeling beside her bench. And the world doesn't end. Your mother used to say mistakes are just music teaching us humility. Diane's hands twist together. Will you both be there? Front row, Carolina promises. Always, Manuel adds. Diane takes a shaky breath, then nods. Okay, I'll do it. The smile that breaks across her face could light the entire city. The weeks that follow are intense. Carolina and Diane practice daily now, not just twice a week, but every afternoon. Manuel cleared his schedule to watch, to listen, to witness his daughter becoming someone he never imagined possible. Carolina moved into a room 3 doors down from Diane's. It's bigger than her old apartment, ridiculous by comparison. Private bathroom, view of the city, furniture that doesn't creak. She still wakes up sometimes forgetting where she is, expecting water-stained ceilings and the sounds of neighbors fighting. But this is home now. Strange and terrifying and somehow right. The Valentino threat never materialized. Manuel handled it the way he handles all threats, swiftly, decisively, permanently. Carolina doesn't ask for details. Some things are better left in the shadows where they belong. Victor has become something like a friend. He brings her coffee the way she likes it, recommends books. Once, after a particularly intense practice session, he said, "You're good for them, both of them." Coming from Victor, it felt like a battlefield commendation. The other residents of the building, the legitimate ones, the ones who think Manuel Torres is just a successful businessman, have started to nod at Carolina in the elevators. Some even smile. She's no longer an intruder. She's Diane's teacher. She belongs. Miguel from the diner visits once a month. He brings her favorite pie and updates about the neighborhood. "You look different," he said during his last visit. "Happier, less tired." "I sleep more," Carolina replied. "That's not it." Miguel studied her. "You look like someone who remembered why they're alive." He was right. The night of the recital arrives like a held breath. The room Manuel arranged is intimate, 30 chairs, soft lighting, the kind of space where music feels like a secret shared among friends. His associates fill the seats, men in expensive suits, women dripping with diamonds, faces that betray nothing. Carolina sits front row beside Manuel. He's wearing a tuxedo, his posture military straight, but his hands grip the armrests like he's bracing for impact. "She'll be fine," Carolina whispers. "I know," Manuel replies, but his voice shakes. Diane enters, guided by Victor. She's wearing a deep red dress, her hair pulled back, her expression calm. She navigates to the piano with practiced confidence, sits, and places her hands on the keys. The room falls silent. Diane begins to play. Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major. The notes pour out like water, clear, pure, inevitable. Her fingers dance across the keys with confidence. Carolina remembers teaching her but can no longer take credit for. This is Diane's talent, Diane's voice, Diane's gift. The room forgets to breathe. When she finishes, silence hangs like fog. Then applause erupts, genuine, thunderous, the kind that comes from witnessing something transcendent. Diane stands, turns toward the sound, and smiles. Not the practiced smile of a blind girl used to performing emotions for others' comfort. A real smile. The smile of someone who knows their worth. Manuel's eyes glisten. He doesn't hide it, doesn't care who sees. Carolina's throat tightens. This is what Mrs. Rodriguez wanted for her, not the stage exactly, but the feeling of helping someone else find their voice, of passing forward the gift that was given to her. After the recital, Diane finds Carolina and Manuel. How did I do? Manuel kneels, pulling his daughter into an embrace that looks like a man finally learning how to hold on to something without crushing it. You were perfect, Pequeña. Your mother would be so proud. I felt her, Diane whispers. When I was playing, I felt like she was there. She was, Manuel says. She always is. Later, when the guests have left and the room is empty, the three of them sit at the piano. Carolina in the middle, Diane to her right, Manuel to her left. Play something, Diane says. Carolina thinks for a moment, then begins. A simple melody. Nothing complex. Just the song she taught Diane that first night. The one Diane named Mama's Song. They play together now, all three of them. Manuel's hands are unpracticed but sincere. Diane's are confident. Carolina's are steady. The music fills the room, and for once, it doesn't sound like loneliness or fear or survival. It sounds like family. Outside, the city glitters with a million lives, unaware that on the 20th floor of a Manhattan high-rise, a poor waitress, a blind girl, and a mafia boss just proved that music can heal wounds deeper than bullets can make. That night, Carolina writes in her journal a habit she's picked up since moving in. Mrs. Rodriguez used to say music chooses who it speaks through. I think she was wrong. Music speaks through all of us, but it only transforms us if we're brave enough to listen. I'm listening now. We all are. She closes the journal and looks out at the city. Somewhere out there, another girl is dreaming of music. Another teacher is believing in potential. Another person is choosing hope over fear. The song continues. It always does. Thanks for sticking with this story till the end. If you enjoyed it, you're going to love the next one. It's packed with unexpected turns and heartfelt moments. Click the image on your screen to keep the journey going, and make sure to hit subscribe for more amazing stories. Drop a comment and rate this story from 1 to 10. I can't wait to see what you think.